Well, hey guys, welcome back to my layout. No, it's actually just a module. My layout's been torn down and it's ready for a move. But today we have two special guests on this module, and that's the SD80MACs from Athearn. These are pre-production units straight from them, and we get to take a look at them a little bit ahead of time and see all of the details and mention some of the cool features that are on this locomotive. So we've got Conrail here, which is a patched unit, and then we've got electromotive up front. This is the demonstrator unit, so this is what EMD would have put out to all the railroads to try to kind of show you, hey, this is what the locomotive is, would you like to buy it from us? With that said, let's get started at this review, product demo, whatever you want to call it, of these locomotives next. So let's start with pricing on the DCC ready units that are DC out of the box. The MSRP is $249.98, but you can get a good deal from your online retailers or brick and mortar hobby shops sometimes and get them a discount. The DCC and sound units are $339.98 MSRP, and the same goes for them. So they are slated to arrive soon. I think it's October. So definitely this year you should see these SD80MACs if everything goes as to plan. Now let's get into some of the features of the locomotive and take a look at some of the details on these two. Alright, sitting stationary here you can see the Conrail unit, which is actually a CSX patch unit, and the EMD demonstrator unit here from an aerial view. They are road number and road name specific details. I'll show you just a little bit of those, just a couple examples, one of which is pretty evident here on the roof. On the CSX unit, there's the satellite dome with conduit running along with all this antenna array here, and blue painted separately applied handrails. These roofs are also removable, so I'll show you that a little later. On the EMD demonstrator unit, they didn't need as many antennas because they're demonstrating to the railroad how the locomotive works, pulls, the layout of the cab, some of the features. So a lot of the communications equipment wasn't installed. So you've got a much simpler roof here. And that's just one of the examples of the road name and road number specific detail. Here's another one. You can see there are different horns on these units, as this Conrail quality is a little later model. It's got a more complex horn used for the railroad, and here's a simple 3-chime horn on this EMD unit. So Athearn's definitely paying attention to those details and making sure they're in the model, which is good for the modeler. All right, let's talk about the front. The first thing that's a big difference from previous Athearn models in general is they have illuminated marker lights that work on the front and rear. I'll show you that later, but they are located here on the nose. And you've got rubber MU hoses, which are something they're starting to change, with silver tipped ends on those. The detail is better than brass, they say, and I have looked and owned SD80MACs and brass before, and the brass has some thicker, larger dimensions than what I'm seeing here. So the SD80MAC represents all new tooling. Just like the SD90MAC, it's bringing in all new tooling to Athearn, an all-new engine built from the ground up, and that gives them the capabilities to do a lot of the platform variations. We'll see what they come out with. It's pretty neat that they're doing this, and it's packed with Tsunami 2 decoder, a lot different than the regular Tsunami. I'd encourage you to go to my Facebook page at facebook.com/HO Scale Product Reviews. Look in the video section, and you'll see a lot of the details on Tsunami 2 decoders, and we'll try to cover some more of that this summer during my move. But the Tsunami 2 decoders have so many features that are not in the regular Tsunami, including the ability to have an equalizer. You've got drive hold, where you can actually notch up the locomotives and get it moving, and just a ton of different functions, packed with 28 functions, a lot of CVs that you can tweak that weren't always there in the regular Tsunami decoder. So let's go into regular review mode now and point out some details. You've got the etched metal windshield wipers here, very thin windshield wipers, separately applied grabs with sand filler hatches. You've got a cab window or nose window here in the teardrop window style on both of these locomotives. Handrails are looking pretty good. They're still plastic handrails, and they have see-through steps and walkways, and I'll show you that in a minute. There is a illuminated light here, a truck light, so the crews can see what's going on and if the ground is moving. We talked about the roof coming off, so I'll just show you that real quick. So roof has two magnets and firmly mounts. So inside the cab there are the control stands and chairs and even a back panel. The wiring's tucked up neatly under the back, so you can just barely see that there. But you can insert your own cab figures, tint your windows, do whatever you want with the interior of the cab with that easy access. Alright, I'll give you a quick pan of the Conrail unit here. You'll notice the fuel gauge detail. There's a bell right there mounted below the walkway. And on the rear, you've got a 4-panel dynamic intake grill, which is specific to those locomotives. Now if you look at the EMD, it's just a single grill there without the 4 panels, so that's more of that road name specific detail. One thing I forgot to mention is the digital walkway mounted fuel gauge, which is down here on the fuel tank, and all of that fuel tank detail, including the sight glass and emergency shutoff. From this angle you can see the square rear end of the locomotive, but you can also see the stairs and the clear walkways, see-through walkway area there. We've also got walkway lighting housing installed. There's no walkway lighting. That would be a nightmare from what I understand to accomplish, but there's a good view along with the truck detail of the locomotive, the actual detail on the stairway and the treaded walkway area. Alright, I've killed some lights so we can take a look at some of the features of the locomotive. Since the CSX got so much love earlier, we're going to look at the EMD here. And when you travel in one direction, the opposite end marker lights light up on F24. As you can see there. So illuminated marker lights and the truck lights are equipped on this model. You can see the same thing on the rear end of the locomotive as the locomotive goes forward. A little hard to tell, but there is truck lighting like we mentioned. And then as we swing around here to the front, I'll show you the LED headlights. All of these lights LED. And they dim in and out. Nice bright light there. Looks good. There's a shot of the lit number boards. If you're seeing flickering, that's because the frame rate of the LED and the camera are off. LEDs actually flash at very, very high speeds that are undetectable to the human eye. Looking at this with my human eyes, they are not flashing, it's just in the camera. But nice, well-lit number boards, no shine through or anything, evenly lit across the board, no pun intended. Okay, let's talk about sound functions. F1 is the bell. Two is horn. Three short horn. Four is dynamic brakes. Get that by moving the locomotive. You hear the whine. Five and six are lighting effects. There are illuminated number boards on here you may have seen in the darker sequences of the video. F7 is the dimmer for the headlight. When it's on. That's working. F8 mutes the locomotive. F9 is an alternate mixer which takes it to half volume. As you can hear there, F10 is straight to 8, which we'll go ahead and do that so you can hear the prime mover go through its paces. You hit F10 again, it'll bring the volume back down to normal. I think there's like dual sugar cube speakers in here. If that's correct, the sound is definitely nice, I'll tell you that much. F11 is brake set and brake release, where you can set that and then notch it up. Couple, uncouple on F13. F14 is half speed and momentum override, usually used for switching and stuff. Handbrake is F15. It's kind of cool, you hear that back towards the handbrake area. If there is one on this locomotive, I haven't really paid attention. Maybe not, but anyway, handbrake is on there. F17 is fuel loading sequence, 18 general service sequence, 20 steam generator. If it's equipped, all aboard on F23 is always fun for kids. 24 and 25 aren't used. In this case, 24 is the lighted number board, or the lighted marker lights, so keep that in mind. 26 manually notches the engine up, 27 notches it down, and 28 is not used on this. That could change a little bit. I'm using just a generalized Tsunami manual and improvising with some of that detail. Genesis drives have always been smooth, but we'll check it. Probably move it back here since we have limited area. We'll check the slow speed control of this. Okay, so that's one speed step. I jumped up to 2 for a second, but everything seems pretty smooth. And my throttle's jumpy today. There's 2. It's not the locomotive, that's my throttle. It's just jumping, not responding, and then catching up. 3. 4. And 5. Alright, let's take a look at the reverse. I'll try to be a little more careful with the throttle this time. 1. 2. 3. 4. And 5. It's a very smooth operation, forward and reverse. Alright, we're all hooked up for a pull test here. We'll get this thing moving. Should be able to see the readout for yourself, but I'll read it off to you. So pull meter is registering at 4.0, which is approximately 60 cars that this locomotive can pull, and it's still raising. So now we're over 60 cars, like 63 or 64 cars. So that is where you're sitting on the pull test of this. Very much improved from some previous models. All right, we got the scale on. See how much this bad boy weighs. Wow, 1.5 pounds, 1.49 pounds. I don't know if you're seeing that or not. It's 1 pound, 8.2 ounces, 24 ounces. Keeps on fluctuating a little bit. 685 grams, 0.685 kilograms. So over a pound and a half there. Well, the time has come to wrap this review up, if you want to call it a review. These are pre-production samples, so we'll have a review of the real things that are completely fit, finished, and polished when they come out at the end of this year, approximately. You know, sometimes delivery dates get squished around, but that's what they're planned for now, is October of this year. Lots of details we didn't even get to talk about. Battery box doors, sanding lines on the trucks, you name it. There's just so many details on these locomotives. And road name, road number, specific detail, even things I didn't mention like the lower mount ditch lights that are LED, things that are spotting features you'll find for quite a while. Good locomotive. It's got over a pound and a half of weight. It's got about a 60 to 65 car pulling power, just roughly estimated, possibly more than that. That's just what my pull meter gets, which is a pretty good pull test for a diesel. Sound is good. Those nice Tsunami 2 decoders are smooth operating when paired with the Genesis drive. It's really great to see these locomotives out in action and on the model railroads, coming soon to the model railroads. With that said, I'm going to leave you with a run by here of Conrail, and we'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.